Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to my channel if you are new here. And just a quick one, I think there's over I think it's like 50% of people who watch some of my videos aren't actually subscribed to me, because I know you just come across them when you're searching for palettes and that kind of thing. So if you do have time, then please don't forget to subscribe. It just takes 2 seconds so you don't miss any of my videos. I know it's such a repetitive thing to say, please subscribe. So if you did want to join the family, then I would appreciate so much if you did hit that subscribe button. A lot of you said that you wanted to see more looks with the Sweet Oasis palette by Morphe, so I thought I would create something kind of wearable with a pop of colour. So this is the palette here, so I thought I'd play around with the more pinky shades today. So I really hope you liked the look. I'm just going to get straight into the tutorial, so if you do want to see how I got this look right here, then just keep on watching. For my base today, I'm going to mix these two today. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, and then this is the Studio Fix Fluid by MAC. So you know I have always loved this foundation, but I do want to make it a little bit more glowy and less matte. So I'm going to mix the two together. I'm going to actually apply it with a KJH06 brush. This is a flat foundation brush, just to initially pop the foundation on, just to kind of even out my base all over. I prefer to use a brush on my forehead anyway, because I find if I use too much foundation on my forehead, then it ends up settling into the fine lines. So anywhere where you have kind of fine lines and texture, I would recommend putting less product there, because then you will find it won't kind of settle in and end up looking cakey. Then once I've got that kind of all over, I will just dab it in with a sponge, and then I will get a little bit more on the sponge and just add a bit more coverage where I feel like I need it, which is typically the cheeks and round the mouth. Next, for concealer, I'm going to use the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. And I'm actually going to do the same thing as before and use a brush to apply that concealer. Then going back in with my sponge, I'm going to blend that in. And I always make sure to bounce it up and down and never swipe it. Okay, that is the second time that has done that. I've used the Indeed eye cream, and it's actually balled up underneath this eye. How weird. I have no idea what went wrong there. So I do want to brighten up the under eye a little bit more, so I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Light Sand. And the reason why I don't use this purely on its own is because sometimes if you use a light concealer just by itself, it can look a little bit ashy, and it actually does the opposite to covering up. So you kind of want to use a shade that is similar to your foundation, or a more peachy colour to kind of colour correct, and a lighter one to brighten. So I'm just going to focus this on the very inner corner of the eye, and a little bit does go a long way, so I find you don't need to use a lot of this. And I'm just going to pop a little bit on the kind of highest point of my under eye, and again blend that in with my sponge. And I kind of take it on the sides of the nose as well. You can see that it's just really lifted the under eye and just brightened it up and given it a little oomph. Then whatever is left, I will bounce it onto the chin and also the forehead as well. Next, I'm going to go in with Translucent Powder by Mercier, and I'm going to set my base in place. Oh, that rhymed. With a Spectrum C03 brush. Then the under eye, I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. This is the 02 brush, also by Spectrum. It's the Katie Jane Hughes collaboration. And just make sure you dab out any concealer that might be sitting in the crease. And I'm just using that same powder just to set lightly, and then later on I will go in with a slightly brighter powder. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my brows off camera. I do have a tutorial, so I'll leave that in the description box below. Okay guys, I'm sorry for the ugly dressing gown, but I'm absolutely freezing. Anyways, I've just made myself a cup of tea, a giant cup of tea. So for my bronzer, I'm going to use Shine Bronzer by Spectrum and the KJH05 brush. And I'm just bouncing that on top of the skin because I didn't set too much around the outer part of my face. So you kind of always want to bounce it in first, because otherwise if you end up swiping, then you kind of move the foundation or the bronzer can go a little bit patchy. Then to set my under eye, I'm going to use the JACLYN Hill Brightening Pink Under Eye Powder. This one is so brightening, as the name suggests. But yeah, it's just got such a nice undertone to it. It doesn't kind of look too harsh, but it just looks so bright and lifted. So I'm going to get a little bit on my sponge and just press that under. And I also kind of take it down into this bit here, and it really kind of helps to like blur the pores. Also take a little bit underneath where we put the bronzer. So we are going to be using the Sweet Oasis palette, but I feel like it doesn't have a like brown transition colour. So what you can do is go in with your bronzer. So whatever you have used on your cheeks, you can use your bronzer as a transition colour, because it's going to give a little bit of warmth as well as defining the crease and just prepping it for your dark eyeshadow, and it's just going to help it blend that little bit easier. If you don't have a bronzer, you can use any sort of light to mid-tone brown, anything that has a little bit of warmth to it, and that is probably like 3-4 shades darker than your natural skin tone. Using that on a Morphe M441 brush and starting on the outer corner and just blending that through the natural crease. Of course, you don't have to go in with bronzer, you can just go straight in with the palette and go in with this shade here, which is called Sandbar, but I really like the kind of look of a gradient eyeshadow, so I like to go in with a transition colour first. It's completely up to you. If you do have deeper skin, you could literally just go straight in with this shade and this would be your transition colour. If you do have deep dark skin, you can literally go straight in with the shade Shady Spot, and that will kind of give you that amount of depth. And then you can go in with a slightly lighter colour just to blend out the edges, and that will give you the same sort of effect. So now we're going to go into the shade Sandbar, which is this really nice mustard brown. And I'm going to take that on a KJH11 brush. So you can see this is quite a flat, fluffy brush. You can see how flat it is there. And the great thing about these kind of brushes is that you can use the side of the brush and really pat it on. Because it is fluffy, you can get a diffused edge at the same time. So I love using this kind of brush for the outer corner. Just using the side of the brush like so. Then once you get to the crease, wiggle it in circular motions. So guys, how are we feeling about the weekly uploads? If you're a regular subscriber / watcher, then I hope you have been noticing, but I have been uploading weekly videos, so I hope you have been enjoying them. I have just kind of fallen back in love with YouTube, and I'm really enjoying creating them, and I've got myself a little schedule where I literally edit weekly on like a Monday or Tuesday night, and then I'm uploading on a Thursday. I haven't got anything left on my brush, but I'm kind of using the excess above as well. So just before I go in with the darker colour, I'm just going to pop a bit of powder underneath my eye in case any drops down, because we all know how annoying that is. But what I'm also going to do is use the powder to kind of give me a guide of the eyeshadow, like that. Okay, so I've just done this eye off camera, so you can see how it's just added a little bit of depth. So what I did was go in with the shade Shady Spot and the Spectrum 17 brush. So this is a tiny petite brush, and again I'm going to use it on its side to pick up the eyeshadow and pack it on. And then once I've got the colour there, slowly start to flick it out slightly. And obviously we've got that guide there of the powder. Then with that same eyeshadow, I'm going to take a pencil brush. This is the number 18. And I'm just going to further deepen up the lash line on the very outer corner. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe off that powder now with a duo fibre brush. So I just went ahead and done this eye just to kind of test it. And for the base of the eyelid shade, so I went ahead and mixed P. Louise Rumour 1 base, and then this is also P. Louise in the shade Winter Rose. So I'm going to use a Spectrum 15 brush and just slowly start to dab that onto the inner part of the lid, and then I'm literally just going to use my finger to blend out the edge. So next I'm going to mix the shades Love Struck and Sneak a Kiss. I'm going to start off with the Love Struck shade on a KJH Spectrum 07 brush and pop that on the inner corner of the eye, and then go in with the shade Sneak a Kiss on the centre of the eye. And I'm just going to go back in with that small detail brush and go in with the shade Private Villa and just blend that kind of round the outer edge where the pink meets the brown. So once you've got the pink colour on there, obviously we've lost a little bit of the brown, so I'm just going to redefine the outer corner with the shade, with the same shade Shady Spot. So guys, I really wanted to incorporate more of the pinks into the eyeshadow look. So what I think I'm going to do is go in with the shade Picture Perfect and just very lightly blend that on the edge of that brown, kind of where it meets the pink. And that will just give it a little bit more of a gradient effect. So it's not just going from like light pink to dark pink. Before I go in with my eyeliner, I'm going to add a little bit of brown eyeshadow across the lash line. And I find this way it helps the black eyeliner not look as harsh. And also if you've got a little bit of a shaky hand and you're not that confident with liner, this will just help the edge, or soften the edge basically, and give you a little bit of a guide. So you can use the brown eyeshadow as a guide and then kind of buff over it after. So what I will do is take a Morphe E43 brush and the same Shady Spot eyeshadow. Okay, I've actually changed my mind. I don't think I'm going to do a black eyeliner, I don't think. But what I think I might do is spray my brush with some Fix Plus and using the Shady Spot eyeshadow and the Spectrum KJH 22 brush just to kind of make more of a paste. I am gonna use that as an eyeliner instead. Before I do the underneath of my eyeshadow, I'm gonna go in with the same P. Louise Rumour 1 base, and this will just help the eyeshadow underneath stand out and have something to stick to. And I'm just gonna use a pencil brush just to diffuse the edge. So I'm going to go back in with that flat definer brush and the shade Shady Spot, and I'm going to work that into the lower lash line, and I'm going to take it just over halfway across the eye. Then I'm going to take a tiny petite pencil brush to ensure that the blend is really precise, because I don't want to take it down too far just yet. And this is the number 21 Spectrum X KJH brush. Okay, so this step is optional, but I always like something really warm underneath my eyes to blend out any sort of dark eyeshadow. I am going to take the Morphe X Pony Constellation palette. You've seen me use this quite a few times now, and my all-time favourite colour ever, maybe, is the shade NERU. So I'm going to take that on the same pencil brush I've just buffed off the previous colour, and I'm going to look up into my mirror again and just lightly blend that underneath the brown. So I feel like I need something in my waterline, so I'm going to take the Morphe pencil in the shade Date Night. I'm just going to use my powder puff to pull down the eye so I don't disturb the concealer. For my inner corner highlight shade, I'm going to use the shade Take Me Back. And I don't often use white eyeshadow as an inner corner highlight, so let's just see how it goes. I didn't like the white highlight. I felt like it made it look just a bit old-fashioned. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. So I'm just going to go over the top of that with this OFRA highlighter in the shade Rodeo Drive. So for my lashes, I'm going to use TATTI Lashes X Abby Roberts, and I'm going to take the Style Half Lash. So I thought I'd do my blusher last, seeing as I had pink on the eyes. I didn't know how much blush I wanted. But I'm going to use this one by ILLAMASQUA in the shade Tremble. But I'm going to use a duo fibre brush. This is the 03 brush. Oh, this blusher smells really nice. It reminds me of like cakes or something. But I mean, the formula is really fine, so you can't really apply too much anyway. This is the JACLYN Cosmetics Liquid Lip in the shade Empowered, and then also pairing that with Spice Lip Liner. Okay guys, I am all ready now. I hope you really liked the look. Let me know if you recreate it, and also let me know what other palettes you want me to use next. But that is everything from me. Thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in my next one. Bye!